Hey, what's up, guys? We are going to talk about this is the last video that we are doing in this season about how to build a world-class team. We spoke about so many things on how to build a world-class team over the last few weeks, and I, I don't want to finish this conversation without telling you about how to manage mistakes. Like somebody screws up, somebody make a mistake. How do you handle them? What's your strategy? And culturally, I had the unique opportunity to work with people from around 25 countries, from Egypt, from Lebanon to Canada, Americans and Australians and people from Germany, so many countries like Pakistan, Afghanistan, obviously India. So as I worked with people from like 25 different countries, one thing that I realized is that, you know what, different people from different culture have different priorities about how to deal with people and different structure and systems. In traditional environment, the way you give feedback is different than the way you give feedback in the United States or Europe or for example, right? So interestingly, Canada seems to be a country which is very conservative and very like, I was born in India, and then when I visited Canada, for some of my speaking engagements, I realized that Canada is so similar to India in a way that very there are different type of people in Canada, obviously, but generally speaking, very conservative, very truly amazing people in Canada. So if you haven't gotten a chance to visit Canada from whichever country you're listening from, do visit Canada. I love this country. It's beautiful. So that being said, how do you give when somebody screws up, somebody makes a mistake in your team? And if you don't have a team and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have a team, I have a business, it's just me, get a team. And you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have money to build a team. There are so many ways to get team members from different parts of the world. You could basically get one person part-time, literally one person part-time, working for you 20 hours a week for less than $500 a month, right? So that's where we are, right? So if you're in the US or Canada or Europe listening to me, there are companies, including one of the companies that I'm involved in, that provides virtual assistants and virtual project managers for less than $500 a month for a part-time person. So if you don't have a team, it's time to start building a global team of people who could help you, who are the best in what they do, so you could actually start an entirely virtual team all over the world, right? So please don't say that I don't have a team, I'm like really tiny business, I cannot afford it. You cannot afford not to have a team. The reason is, oftentimes when you are starting a business, you need to have somebody else to take care of the basic stuff in order for you to move forward in your business. So hopefully I was able to sell you on the idea of having a team. So once you have a team, they are bound to make mistakes, right? So this is one of the reasons why many people, they don't hire people. They're like, you know what, I just want to do the things like really weird. My finger looks really weird. Yeah. So the only reason I don't want to grow my business is I don't want to trust my stuff with other people. Oh my gosh, this is freaky. How could I even do something in business with another person, right? It's freaky, it's scary. But the reality is, if you know how to, I spoke about this topic for a while, at least 3 or 4 weeks now. And so you could check out my video on how I have managed millions of dollars of project entirely through a virtual team, right? So 25, 30 people working in my team and doing millions of dollars worth of project entirely virtually. I have friends who have 100+ virtual employees. They don't have a freaking office, nothing. They don't have an office. They work from home. They have 100+ team, right? Entirely from home. Everybody is working from their home. Many of the team members haven't even seen each other, like never. They have never ever seen each other other than on Zoom meetings, right? So this phenomenon, it's not a Corona effect. This started happening probably 5 years before, 5 to 10 years before Corona. So there are so many early adopters who have millions of dollars of business working from home, right? So, and then they have hundreds of people working for them from different parts of the world doing different things. And how do you manage these things? Well, virtually 1 second is like, when they make a mistake, how do you correct it? So I'm just inviting you to look at a new world. There are multi-million corporations that are happening in their own house. So they don't even need to leave their house to do business, because it's their home. They just wake up and they wear their pajama and they put a shirt on or something like that, and then that's their business, right? So that being said, let's get specifically into the topic of how to help someone who makes a mistake and how to manage that. And then after that, I'll tell you another secret about how to be more productive as a team, right? So that's what we are going to talk about next. But before that, let's get into this topic of somebody make a mistake. So one thing that shaped me as a human, there are so many things, but one of them is my dad helping me to think freely. So I lived in India when I was young, and we are from a very conservative world, and with so many restrictions in thinking. And my dad always told me, you need to think freely. You need to think freely and then make mistakes. The only thing that I need to know is, if you make a mistake, and if you make a mistake, you just let me know that you made a mistake, so I know how to handle that. I could basically make any kind of mistakes, within reasonable limits. I cannot murder somebody and come back home, but as long as it's like not immoral, I could make any kind of mistake. And the only thing that he asked me was, hey, come back home and tell me that before anybody else tell me. That's all you need to do. And what a beautiful metaphor for managers. If somebody screws up, somebody make a mistake, you could actually say that, you know what, you made a mistake. Make sure that you don't make like major mistake that will entirely destroy the company. But at the same time, if you make a small mistake, and you come back to me, just let me know. This is what happened. I'll protect you. So when your team members, they know that they could protect you, you will protect them, then they feel like taking risk. One of the major curse of many of the companies here in the US and all over the world, since I'm speaking from the US, is that their employees don't take initiative. Everybody is complaining, my team members don't take initiative. My team members don't take initiative. They just do their work. They just want to come from 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and they just want to celebrate the rest of their life. They just want to do the minimum stuff. This is the complaint from many entrepreneurs. They're like, oh, my people, they don't have initiative. How could they have initiative if they are not letting them, if you are not letting them have the freedom to make a mistake? How could they take a risk? Because if they take a risk and if they screw up, you are like jumping on them and like screaming at them, like saying all kind of stuff. Then how could they take any kind of risk? They cannot take any risk because they'll be scared to do anything. So what they would do is they like try to play the safe game. I want to be safe, right? So when they try to play a safe game, what happens? Your company is losing. Does that make sense now? Like from the other side of the world? Because I have been an employee and employer at the same time, and I played back and forth with this game multiple times, enough to realize that, you know what, there is an employee's perspective, there is an employer's perspective. So when they make a mistake, like it's time for us to handle our own therapy needs, our own issues internally, and our own conflicts inside, and step up and say, you know what, no, I'm going to be calm. I want to understand what is going on here, and I'm going to be reasonable about it and find out what is exactly going on. How is this affecting? And then give a sincere feedback and go from there. I'll tell you exactly what to do with that. So imagine somebody made a mistake and it cost you $100. Simple thing, right? And it cost you $100. It's a $100 mistake. You tell them, hey, you made this mistake. This happened. Because of this happened, we are losing $100. You tell them specifically, we are losing $100. And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Most of them, right? I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Please. Then you tell them, hey, I understand. That's my dog. His name is Buddy. Yeah. So I keep him inside. He's my emotional support dog. Okay. So you tell them that you made a mistake because of this happened, and then you pause for them to respond, and most of that time they'll be like, okay, I screwed up, I'm sorry. Then if they take responsibility for that, then you tell them, I understand, Matthew. Most of the time you do these things, and this is one time this happened. Separate that. Don't generalize and say, oh my gosh, Matthew, oh my gosh, I'm so tired of you. Always you make mistakes all the time, I'm so tired of your mistakes. If that's what you're responding, then you're actually degrading his self-image to become extremely horrible, right? If that's what you want for your team, then yeah, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, empower him and tell him, like, this is one time, you did like 9 other things, right? So as a general thing, Matthew, I know that you are incredible, you pay attention to stuff, you have remember the time you did that thing and that was phenomenal. So I know overall you pay attention and you do quality work, but this time this happened, make sure that it doesn't happen again. But overall, I'm really happy that you're taking care of many of these things. So what happens is there are numerous studies that show that if you give one criticism, and even if you give two compliments, it's still not balanced out, because people are going to remember the criticism. People are going to remember because most people feel that they are not good enough anyway. So you're just reminding them, you're not good enough. Just want to let you know you're not good enough. Just want to let you know you're not good enough. If that's the constant messaging that you give to people, then they are not going to feel empowered, and they are not going to take initiative, and they are not going to go the extra mile. Because everyone, I mean, I have seen most majority of time, we all want to go the extra mile. We all want to do amazing things. We all want to take it to the next level and contribute to our own community and our own organization. But why don't people do it? Because they're scared. They're afraid, because last manager, the manager before that, or something else, they're like so critical. They are like about their actions. They're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this. This is scary. This is confusing. I don't want to deal with this thing. I might as well just keep my job, do enough to get my paycheck, and go home. So that is the culture that we have created by not allowing people to step up and take leadership. So that is one thing that I want to share. And before I let you go, you wanted to know about how to increase the effectiveness of team, right? So one other thing that you could do is you could ask your team members, especially in a virtual environment. Nowadays, everybody is becoming virtual, and we have been playing this virtual game for close to more than a decade now. I cannot imagine this, right? So we were starting using Zoom on 2016 when Zoom just started, and then we got on Zoom, and people are looking, what is this thing called Zoom? And now everybody is on Zoom. So we are in a virtual world. So how do you keep productivity for team members in a virtual world? So one other thing that you could do is you could get, hey buddy, come here. Buddy, come here. Yeah, say hi to my friends here. Paul. Okay. Anyway, yeah. So one other thing that you could do right now is essentially start helping them focus on results rather than actions. Like the last period, the 150 years of industrial revolution and productivity and everything else was about getting something done, getting things done. Getting things done is not good enough anymore. Getting things done is not good enough anymore. We need to get the right things done. Otherwise it's not going to be useful. A lot of people think about activities. I have this to-do list. I need to do this to-do list. If I finish this to-do list, it's going to be over. Entrepreneurship is not like that. We need to start focusing on what makes us money. As an entrepreneur, in order for us to succeed, it took me like a long time to figure this out. Sounds so simple, I know, but it took me a long time. It's taking so many entrepreneurs a lot of time to figure this out. Focus on things that could generate money now. That's one thing that you would focus on. What are the things that could generate money now? And then the second thing is, what are the things that could generate money in the future? So I call it money later. Money now, money later. So if you are planning your week, which if you're not planning your week, you are planning to fail, I guess. So if you're not planning a week, spend 15 minutes planning a week, and then forget about everything else. You can do everything else that you did the way you did. But in that 15 minutes, spend your time. In that 15 minutes, think about what are the things that could generate money now. and money later. And what are the things that I could do to generate money now? And what are the things that I could do to generate money later, right? What are the things that my team members could do to generate money now? What are the things my team members could do to generate money later? That's it. That's the planning. And I know there are like more advanced planning that you could do. My dog is still here. Yeah, so there are more advanced planning that you could do to make it like fascinatingly powerful. But if you just do that and then communicate to your team members and tell them, hey, in order for us to generate money now, we need to do this thing, these 3 things this next week, these 3 things next week, another team member, and you would do those 3 things, and then focus on some other things that could generate money later, and do those 3 things in a week, and then everything else could be unplanned. I mean, if you're not a planned person, if you're a planned person with a lot of planning, then go ahead and do that. But if not, if you're already completely unorganized, if you don't pay attention to anything, if you don't have any kind of planning, just add this 15 minutes to your schedule every week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, one of those days. Sit down 15 minutes and say, what are the things that I could do that could generate money now and money later? And if you have a team member, what can they do to support that process? And that would dramatically increase your productivity. There's so many more things that we do to help you increase your productivity. If you want to get in on a productivity training that I do for entrepreneurs, you could actually come into my website, which is rublechandy.com. That's my first name, last name that you could see on the screen, rublechandy.com. And then you could download my free productivity training that will help you to increase your productivity significantly in the next 30 days. That's it. That's my time. I'll talk to you guys next Friday. Have an amazing time. Thank you for listening, like from 7 different places. Some of you from YouTube, some of you from different groups, some of you from my fan page. And if you haven't joined my group, Business Accelerator, put a comment below and we'll be happy to send you a link so you could join my group of so many business people from 15 different countries, communicating with each other to grow their business to the next level. Talk to you guys later. Bye.